What's up guys, welcome to another video at Movement Mechanics and welcome to the 8th video at the anatomical journey that we are covering on movement mechanics. In today's video, we are going to talk about two of the most important lower body muscles which form your massive legs, the quadriceps and the hamstrings. As always, we are going to understand all the muscle groups involved in the quads and the hams and understand their origin, insertion and the muscle actions which they do. And also, at the end of the video, I'm going to give you that one exercise for your quads and that one exercise for your hammies, which is going to train them perfectly. So let's dive deep inside this topic and understand some movement mechanics. Today's video, we are not going to start from the anterior aspect of the body but the posterior aspect. So we are going to cover the hamstring muscle group first in this part of the video. So for the hamstrings, we are going to start off with the bicep femoris long head. Now the bicep femoris has got two heads. One is the long head and one is the short head. So the bicep femoris long head starts or originates from the ischial tuberosity of the pelvis and inserts at the head of fibula. For the muscle action of the bicep femoris, it has got two muscle action. One is of course the knee flexion, because all the hamstring muscles are knee flexors, whereas it has got another muscle action which is not its primary but its auxiliary muscle action, which is hip extension. As the bicep femoris long head starts at the ischial tuberosity of the pelvis, it is going to help in hip extension, but it is not its primary movement. These were the concentric muscle action of the bicep femoris long head, whereas when it comes to the eccentric muscle action, it is deceleration of knee extension and hip flexion. As for the short head of the bicep femoris, which is part of the long head, it originates from the lower 1/3 of the posterior aspect of the femur and inserts, same as the bicep femoris long head, at the head of the fibula. When it comes to the muscle action, it has got one primary muscle action which is knee flexion. It is not going to do hip extension because it doesn't originate from that pelvis, but it originates from the femur itself, and hence it is just going to do knee flexion. When it comes to the eccentric muscle action, it will decelerate knee extension. The third muscle which we are going to cover for the hamstrings is semimembranosus. Now the semimembranosus originates again from the ischial tuberosity of the pelvis and it inserts at the posterior aspect of the medial condylite of the tibia. When it comes to the concentric muscle action of semimembranosus, it does knee flexion and hip extension as its secondary muscle action. When it comes to the eccentric muscle action, it is again going to decelerate knee extension and it is going to do hip flexion. The last muscle which we are going to cover in the hamstring complex is semitendinosus. Now the semitendinosus originates from the ischial tuberosity of the pelvis and part from the sarcotuberous ligament as well. It inserts at the proximal aspect of the medial tibial condylite. Now the muscle actions are again going to be the same. One is knee flexion and the other one is going to be hip extension. Concentrically, when it comes to the eccentric muscle action, it is going to do hip flexion and it is going to decelerate knee extension. Apart from all the muscle actions of the hamstring complex, there is one muscle action which is very critical, which is stabilization of the lumbopelvic hip complex. Except for the bicep femoris short head, all the hamstring muscles are going to help in stabilization of the lumbopelvic hip complex, which is an important aspect when it comes to the hamstrings. Moving forward from the posterior aspect of the body, we are going to cover the quadricep muscle group at the anterior aspect of the human body. So the first muscle in the quads we are going to cover is Vastus lateralis. The Vastus lateralis originates from the anterior and inferior border of the greater trochanter. It also originates from the lateral aspect of the gluteal tuberosity and the lateral lip of the linea aspera of the femur. It inserts at the base of patella and the tibial tuberosity of the tibia. When it comes to the muscle action, it does knee extension concentrically and it decelerates knee flexion eccentrically. The second muscle in the quad group is Vastus Intermedialis. Now the Vastus Intermedialis originates from the lower region of the intertrochanteric line as well as medial lip of the linea aspera of the femur. It inserts at the base of patella and again at the tibial tuberosity of the tibia. When it comes to the muscle action, it is again going to do knee extension concentrically and eccentrically it is going to decelerate knee flexion. Another muscle which is part of the Vastus Medialis is Vastus Intermedialis. The Vastus Intermedialis originates from the anterior lateral region of the upper 2/3 of the femur and it inserts at the base of patella and again at the tibial tuberosity of the tibia. The muscle action for Vastus Intermedialis is knee extension concentrically and eccentrically it is going to decelerate knee flexion. The last muscle which we are going to cover for the quads is rectus femoris. Now the rectus femoris is a bit superior from the other muscles because it crosses two joints. One is the hip and the knee joint and hence it has got two functions. So the origin of the rec fem is from anterior inferior border of the iliac spine of the pelvis and it inserts at the base of patella and again at the tibial tuberosity of the tibia. When it comes to the muscle actions of the rec fem, this is where the superiority of the rectus femoris comes into the picture. It does primarily, of course, knee extension, but secondarily it is going to assist in hip flexion as well because it crosses or it originates from that hip joint. When it comes to the eccentric muscle action, it is going to decelerate knee flexion and also do hip extension. We often hear the terms knee instability, knee laxity. Now this knee instability or knee laxity is because of weakness in the quad muscle group, because the quad muscle groups together do one important aspect for the knee joint, which is stabilization of the knee. So that is where the instability or the laxity of the knee comes into the picture. If your quads are weak, then your knee laxity or knee instability is going to be prominent. After covering 8 muscles, combining both the hammies and the quads, their origin, insertion, muscle action and whatnot, it has been a vigorous anatomical lecture. So moving forward from this anatomical lecture, it's time for some practicality. So the one exercise which I personally love to do for your hamstrings is the Nordics. The Nordics is an eccentric exercise, though it is slightly inferior from the hamstring walks, but I personally love doing Nordics because it is going to give you that eccentric control when it comes to your hammies, and that is where your hamstrings have to be very efficient. The eccentric control of the hamstrings has to be prominent and it is one of the most important factor of your hammies. Now when it comes to your quadriceps, there is going to be a lot of debate. Either it's going to be a knee extension or the front squat. Now lots of people are going to support the knee extensions, but I love squatting, and as I've always said that squatting is the best exercise for your lower body, and hence I'm going to go with front squats as that one exercise for training your quadricep muscle groups. As I've always said that when you do a back squat, it has to be a low bar back squat so that you engage your glutes more and not your quads, and hence if you want to engage your quadriceps, it has to be the front squat. I hope you guys have understood thoroughly about the origin, insertion and muscle action of the hamstring complex and the quadricep complex as well, and you have loved those two exercises which I've given, one for your hammies and one for your quads. So if you have loved this video, make sure you hit the like, the share, the subscribe as well as the notification bell icon so that you never miss a video whenever I'm uploading a new one. Also, if you have got any doubts or any comments regarding this video or any other video suggestions which you want me to cover in the future, make sure you drop that in the comment section. Till then, see you in the next one.